Okay, so this is the city council. Starts at 6. Not a lot of people here, but we're at the library. Okay.
That's long. That's long. Did I do it? That's long. So now.
And lots of things in front of there. Yeah. All we do is on my first time. Well, the thing with whether or not you're an online student versus on some of them can be. Like this online, but it's just needs to a lot of people. Oh, yeah. Exactly. But well, it's good to have you guys.
Yeah. Yes, no. Oh, yeah. All right, that's already. The runners of the assistant. City manager.
Not.
Especially now.
Ready for fun?
Thanks, John. Well, we were within the drop. Less than 4 miles south of us in Ford. 13. Where's in Georgia? North Georgia got rain, South Georgia got rain. Georgia did not. No, it didn't. Didn't go that way.
the call meeting to order.
Amy Teal. Here. Vicki Wilson.
Here.
Laura Scott. Here. Cheryl Taylor West. Here. Jason Nance.
Here.
All the present.
Item 3, we're in vacation. Dear Lord, we have a plan to prepare unity in our city, the world that often seems divided. We seek the strength to bridge the gaps to separate us. Help us to recognize the inherent value in every individual and to celebrate the richness of our diverse community. Grant us the wisdom to work hand in hand, so shoulder to shoulder, towards a brighter and more harmonious future for our city. We thank you for the gift of unity, and we trust in your guidance to lead us this path. Amen.
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All honor and Texas flag. Allegiance to the flag, one state, under God, one nation.
Public comments and receipt of petition. At this time, anyone will be allowed to speak on any matter other than personnel matters. Any matter not specifically listed that under hearing elsewhere on the agenda or matters under litigation for a length of time not to exceed 4 minutes. No counsel or direction or action may take place on a matter until such matter has been placed on an agenda and posted in accordance with the law with Texas Code Government Code Section 551042. Go in at 6:02. We have Diane Wyatt.
My name is Diane Wyatt. I live at 201 North Colorado Street in Whitney. No note. I have no laws. I have no ordinances. I've come here just to make a statement to the city council members. I have lived here for 10 years. I've never had as many problems living in any city as I've got with Whitney in the last 3 years, going on 4. I have never had a conversation with Mr. Billy Fiddle, although we've had contact, he's had contact with me, with my businesses on many occasions. I have never had a conversation with our mayor of Whitney. And I've only recently had a conversation with a couple of city council members. I say that because having lived here for that long, and that close into the city, that I would think that we would have more to converse about, but I think they've been just swept under the rug and not important. But that's okay, because I'm still here, and I still am interested in how the city is run, and I'm interested in how healthy the city is. I did not sign this conversation, so please don't yell at me. Just wave your hand, because I'll have my eye on you, and I will stop. I'm very interested in how we're calling it the mustard seed property is being handled. I had asked for communication on that, and none of any real value to me has been forthcoming. It looks like on the agenda tonight there may be some decisions made in regard to that. But not only that property, but the property next door does affect one of my properties. And I do feel like everybody knows what's right and wrong, regardless of what the wrongs and policies and that sort of thing are. We know what's right and wrong. And we do know that the city should, whether they're mandated to do it or not, I don't really know. But they should be protecting the value of our properties. And I don't feel like that's happening. The other thing, with almost everything on the agenda, I would have a comment on it, but I'm not going in that direction. I am also extremely interested and concerned about the money the city is willing to spend on things that are not in the forefront of what the community needs. And I think we've all discussed that water and roads are the main issues here. So I find it difficult when I look at salaries and find that the people that are supposedly looking after this time are drawing salaries higher than people in the same size towns elsewhere. It just doesn't make sense to me. If we're going to grow the city, we have to watch every penny that we have, and we have to watch every step that we take and make sure that everything is in the right directions. I know that I have been up here talking many, many times, and the most reasonable thing I can say is that we're fighting for our reputation in the city, and we're fighting for our name that has been. Thank you very much.
I'm here today. I don't live in it. Now, this is a challenge on social media by one of the council members. Why I was concerned about Whitney by the city. So I thought to myself, well, I guess I'm more important in my head than I am providing. And so today I came to share with you my Joe Wesley. I pastor home church at home. I've been here, I believe, for 18 months. In the 18 months, we've provided Christmas presents for almost 500 children. We've given away over 20 food boxes. We have opened a baby actually that every month we have breakfast 20 families, baby food, diapers, and other things. And with that being said, thank you so much to the community as the last for being the best helping us further this mission. And so I'm concerned about this city because I'm from this city. I don't live here, but the people that I pastor, my heart is here. The people that I minister to are part of this community. I wish I could live over here, but I don't know if y'all know houses are expensive. And mine's paid off. It's kind of hard to still pay off when we really know. But we are highly invested in this community. And I know that y'all are here today to provide for the political welfare of our city. But I'm not here about politics. I'm here to provide for the welfare of our community. There are some things that the city can't do that the church can do. There are some things that the church can't do that the city can do. And so with that, there's an importance of us walking down here. Are some of the roads difficult? Every time I've been in it, there's a water difficult to drink. Go to Hillsborough, once a month, you live without water at least. And so all of these things are things that we see, but on Sunday I preach at church that a message about the trouble of growth. If you grow, it's always difficult. It's important that we work in unity. There's a way that we can be divided and also be united. There's a way that we can have differences in opinions and feed in unity, but not destroying each other in time. I think when I stand outside the against wisdom, it's not our words that causes people to think about it. It's the way that we should be. When I see a small town of 2,000 people, 2,200 people, calling each other out on social media, calling each other out in public, and I become embarrassed for that community. Same like on the church, and I was a Walmart manager for 20 years now, I'm a nurse. But before I became a nurse, I told other people at my job, we don't pay you to serve friends. Hopefully you have friends. Hopefully you find friends at work. We pay you to come in and do a job to the best of your ability to benefit customers. The same thing with the city politics. Unfortunately, we're already the wrong now. But at the same time, there has to be a sense of things around that area. When we present ourselves to the public, that they see there's differences in there. But they're able to work together in the church system. In this town, hopefully this town that you all office in the city of church. there's a family in the church, there's something that we can do. And hopefully we can work with it, you know, do the same thing for me. So I'm not, you know, I don't have a problem, I did something, scripture says, we're going to see it. The same way, you can't hopefully go out there and baptize people in the city council, because I'm not sure we do or not. You know, so there are differences in pieces. But we're here to invest in the schools, we're here to help the schools. And when there's strife in communities, I can tell you that in God's kingdom there's not. In our church, there's not. And if someone seeks to divide, Scripture says that the enemy comes to only to divide, it comes to kill and destroy. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
After this is the same kind of thing we talked about, and essentially what I've done is I finally got hold of the franchise. Really adjusted and mark it up. My background for this one was contract, negotiation contract. There's holes all in this. I can see why the city made it kind of go around and kind of fill those based on the way the agreement is, but there's still certain parts of this agreement that enable us to go back and say, hey, wait a minute, you can't just pull your way in and say, okay, we're not providing you with an environmental, we're not provide you with project, and we're not providing you with engineering. And we know there's environmental issues related to this project. They haven't seen it all. And we know there's the seen the water runoff issue and raised the pad more than a foot. 18 inches, so the water's not being what it was before the project started. The roads are kind of pushing down and flooded. Last time I was here, Timothy was here, and they followed this idea of chance for the roads that they kind of it alluded to that they were going to do some things and then they weren't. They shook my hand as but they were going to accommodate some of our needs. Essentially, they said they were not going to fix the road all over the bill, but they were going to send that off on the city to other heavy equipment and the use of heavy equipment and concrete trucks and everything was entering through brand roads weren't great, all that stuff, all the conditions. The two that said that they would not consider wrapping or at least hiding partially the facility from the city's open here in the county, even the county and everywhere around the piece of written that their side and stuff they practice. We know it's there, but it's kind of hiding the irrigation from that. I had gone through the document and made some recommendations. Even today, based on just the elusiveness and arrogance in the last council meeting, I would like to recommend that the council exercise the policing policy, kind of shut down until they buy this, but documents they said already have the project plans that we're into and document that adequately determined. As well as the engineering plan, which is going to look like ongoing. My area is impact, but they're carrying that out all the way into the county, all the way back to the substation and pushing it out. Really designed well. This document is given in 2014. 2 years ago since they started the project. Whitney is not growing by more than 50 people. Whitney is not growing by more than 100 people since 2000. So our, if you ever signed this,
Thank you.
correct.
And move into the consent agenda. Consent agenda, all matters listed under consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Should a council member decide discussion of any item, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. On item 6, act on approving the regular city council meeting minutes for the regular meeting on July 24, 2025, and special meeting on July 31, 2025. And
I'd like to pull 7.
okay. So on item 6. We have a motion.
I move adoption of the minutes.
A second.
Amy,
Yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Valerie, Cheryl, Jason,
Yes.
motion passes.
On item 7, act on approving the city of Whitney expense reports and register report for July 2025.
I would like to discuss this a minute. On the check register, we have another TML amount of $23,000, and it was 40 something last month. Can you tell me how much we are paying Texas Municipal League every year?
So the work comp works out to about 40,000 a year. The the insurance for the liability property automobiles, it is running at around 60 on it. And that's just I guess.
And when you're looking at the property tax revenue, this is prior year of 963 million, or sorry, thousand, and then the anticipated is 1.175 million. And sales tax last year was 809,000, and this year we're expecting 993,000. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that those numbers are publicly available. This is on the website for anybody who hasn't had a chance to review the budget. The entire property, or the entire council packet that we're discussing is on the city website for you to see. And with that, if there's no further discussion, I will move adoption of the expense report.
Second.
No.
Vicky,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
We've got a motion passes with a 4. Department report, mayor report,
On January 16, 2025, at approximately 2:57 p.m., a 911 call was placed reporting a man down at work service. Deputy Alex Tillman was the first to arrive on scene. Without hesitation, Deputy Tillman immediately did CPR and continued life-saving measures until additional first responders could arrive. Because of his swift thinking, decisive action, and commitment to duty, the outcome for this gentleman was very different than it otherwise might have been. It is my honor to present Deputy Alex Tillman with this life-saving award in recognition for his dedication, skill, and unwavering service to his community. We thank, he's not here tonight, so we'll have the chief with that.
Chief, would you like to accept that on behalf of Officer Tillman? Officer Tillman now works for the Whitney Police Department.
Also, on August 22nd, 1996, the city of Whitney welcomed a 22-year-old Christy Waller as a water clerk. Over the past 29 years, Christy has grown with the city, moving from water clerk to court clerk and ultimately to city secretary, while also taking on countless duties that often fell outside of any job description. Throughout this time, Christy has worked alongside, I believe, 14 members. Countless council members providing steady leadership and unwavering commitment through times of change. Her knowledge, professionalism, and dedication extend far beyond her role as city secretary. She is a trusted advisor, a patient listener, a mentor to new employees, and guiding presence of seasoned staff. Christy exemplifies what it means to serve with heart and integrity. She is more than an employee. She is a part of the very foundation of our city family. Today, we honor and thank Christy for 29 years of dedication to Whitney. Her commitment and wisdom and care have helped shape our city, and we are truly blessed to have her. Department of Emergency Services.
Captain Ronald Mayor, council members. For the month of July, we ran a total of 182 calls. It's higher than that. On the EMS side, we ran 68. 57 were in the city. 11 were out in the county mutual aid care plan. Our average response time in the city was 5 minutes and 10 minutes out in the county. On the fire side, we ran 114 calls. 5 fire calls in the city, 11 fire calls in the county. On the first responders with the ambulances, we ran 50 calls in the city and 48 out in the county.
Police report and code compliance.
Madam Mayor, Council, last month in July, we started responding to a total of 381 calls for services, most of all services, assaults, accidents, welfare concerns, usual. We made a total of 2 arrests, total traffic stops, 186 were made by the officers, resulting in a total of 236 citations and warnings. On animal control, code enforcement side, calls for service for animal control, we didn't have 4 last month. Dogs, welfare concerns, and cats at large. Also, code enforcement calls for service, we had 6, 4 call arrest complaints, young and building code violation. And then self-initiated out there, 23 different yards to call arrest, along with 2 junk property. We still have the pile of brush out there, but most some of the properties have actually started to clean up, which is great. So that's why the brush piles. That's it.
Thank you.
On the total incidents, we have suicidal subjects.
Yes.
This is one that really catches my breath. Can you tell me approximately how many of those?
I don't have an approximate number, but if they made this sheet, if I remember last month, I would say we probably had at least 4 or 5 or 7 suicidal subjects. Just quite a bit of fun.
I agree. Thank you.
Public Works.
Josh, do we have anybody on call from the mention more for suicidal subjects?
Well, yes, we have access. Yeah.
He's done last month in 2 weeks. Each were half installed, 2 are half installed. Each year at 1240 or Wildcat Drive was started and completed. We had 7.5 hours water tolls, 10.5 hours sewer tolls, and back at full staff with 2 members.
Thank you. Auditor report.
Good evening, citizen council, Madam Mayor. For the month of July 2025, Your library issued 31 new library cards, served almost 1,500 total visitors. Of those visitors, 127 were here for the computer and internet services. Some of those visitors needed direct assistance helping them do a resume, put together access to their driver's license. That was really the big problem this month. Everybody needed their driver's license updated. We had 29 unique events and programs, 240 visitors coming to those programs. We'll talk a little bit about the summer reading program in a moment. Just under 1,400 items checked out. We still support 14 local authors, and I'm not positive there are more out there that just aren't in our library yet. The very interesting thing is we had almost 30 volunteer hours, so 26 and 4 volunteer hours during the month of July. You'll also notice around the library that we have a little library club paid for by the Library Foundation. The summer reading program was literally a blast. We had an end of the summer reading program bubble party. And we want to give a huge shout out to Tasty Kernels here in town and Berkshire's for keeping the snacks flowing all 6 of those weeks. And for the city of Whitney and our first responder for coming out to make a splash on our first responders day. Lastly, the Cameron Park Zoo has generously funded an ongoing free 2 library passes per week for, well, in perpetuity by the Cameron Park Zoological Foundation. And so those are really important things going on at your library. Please keep an eye out the library card fund next conference.
Municipal court. Yes, for the month of July, we had a total of 75 citations. And the financials for July were 7,369. Moving to our regular agenda, line A, deliberate and act on city employees' health, general business, and life insurance benefits for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Good evening, council. Please don't hold my entire listener headed for football game today. Well, just to kind of give everyone a little bit of history on the health insurance. We got in here in 23 and 24. The health insurance was about $806 per employee only. That's covered by the city. But that was an HMO plan. It had a $250 deductible. Last year, we were able to bring a PPO only plan with a $0 deductible, $0 co-pays, and $0 out-of-pocket max to all employees. That came at a 17% decrease. So we went from $806 down to $680 for an employee-only rate, which is amazing in the healthcare industry. If we get a decrease, we jump up and down. It's something we try to do every year, but the numbers just always don't work out that way. So kind of to get you where we are today, we were at 680. We're on a program called Curative is the carrier. Curative is very unique. They're the only plan, one of the only plans out there that has a $0 deductible, $0 copay, $0 out-of-pocket max. So essentially, when the premiums paid, the employee shouldn't have to pay anything for their health insurance. It's an unbelievable plan. It's a plan that I actually had the ability to be on for over a year at my employer, and just listening to other employees, it's literally the best. I talked to Christy the other day, just kind of get some feedback with the employees, and I'll let her kind of share what they had to say about Curative.
I love the fact that they don't do a copay when they go. Their prescriptions are $0. They can't say enough good stuff about Curative health plan because it's saving them money by not having to pay for those deductibles or the copays for the prescriptions.
All right, and so I get a new packet out tonight. I know there was a packet in y'all had previously, but I added a few pages to this one, and this is just our logo, City of Whitney. But I also want to give you the quote details. This is what we do every year as your broker. We have to go out and get quotes from everybody. In the third page there, it goes into detail of who quoted and who didn't. Aetna, DTQ, just through the network, they're not competitive in the area. Blue Cross Blue Shield, we did receive a quote, and they will be on the presentation. Cigna, TTQ network is not competitive in the area on small group. Small group is anyone below 50 employees, just kind of just a term to know in insurance. Bakerstown White, we received a quote, and it'll be on the presentation. And we received the United Healthcare quote, but it wasn't competitive, so we didn't put it on the top three. And then we also received their curative renewal. The last page there, the first two columns show what the current plan is. It's in the orange there. The rate, like I said, was $680.87 for employee only. The initial renewal came out at $810.28. We were able to go back and work with underwriting and kind of explain some things, the way the claims look, and just give a story of why we didn't think that was a fair renewal. And then also use other carriers' rates to drive down these rates. So we were able to go back and negotiate that down to $748.97. It's not where we want to be, but it's better than it came out. It's also still cheaper than it was 2 years ago. Instead of HMO, we're still on PPO, and everything's at a $0 deductible. So it's actually a really great way. If you've ever went out and tried to get health insurance, you'll know that, we're under $1,000 and we got a $0 deductible on a PPO plan. It's amazing. So we're very excited to be able to present that to you tonight. That is our recommendation. I will go through these other quotes that are on here. We have a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, and what we try to do is just get equal plans. It's a PPO plan at a rate of $1,328, way over period. It does come with co-pays, and it does come with a $350 deductible, which is the lowest deductible Blue Cross goes down to on the small group network. And then we also got a Baylor Scott and White quote. It's also a PPO, and they only go down to $1,000 deductible is their lowest one. And that rate's $847.19. So you say, well, that rate's closer, but still Curative comes in at the best with everything at a $0 and on a national PPO limit. So that would be my recommendation to you guys on a medical insurance. And I hope the questions. Questions? All right. On the life insurance, voluntary life, dental, vision, and MASA, that principal was the carrier last year. They gave us a 2-year rate guarantee with a 5% max on any increase. The only increase we received was actually on the dental side, and it went up $1.72 on the dental. So that was the only increase. I don't have that in your packet. I can email it to you, and I can show it to you if you need to see it. But all those rates are the same as they were last year. And then the MASA is just the air ambulance. That's a program that we put in last year as well. Doesn't matter if it's air evac, if it's air flight, if it's whatever, whoever picks you up, MASA covers it at 100% anywhere in the United States. So it's another really, really nice program for the employees that we offer. Any questions? There you go. Mayor, if I may. So when we did our first budget workshop, we figured everything at the higher renewal rate, with the one or the 810, plus the ancillary insurances, which came out right at $850 a month. So that's going to go down if we accept or you guys want to go with the negotiated renewal, which is the recommendation of staff. All our staff are very happy with that plan, and it didn't go up that much. And the way increases have worked out with everything over the year, that's a very insignificant amount when it comes to healthcare.
May I add one quick thing? As former city employee myself, I know that the benefits from healthcare packages was tremendously beneficial in retaining employees. And so I consider that a large piece of the package. Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the city employees' health, dental, vision, and life insurance bid that's been displayed tonight for the following fiscal year.
And which plan are you looking for?
Sure, just sorry. I was thinking my own, perfect, thank you.
Be clear, it's the curative negotiated renewal rate.
Yes. Any still?
Abstain.
Yes. Valid? Cheryl, yes. And Dave,
Yes.
we've got 4 yeses, 1 abstaining, motion passes.
Thank you. Item 9, deliberate on proposing the 2025-2026 property tax rate of $0.5764.
Because the property tax rate that was proposed through the Cook County Appraisal District was a decrease to the tax rate itself. It will decrease the amount of revenue from last year's tax levy by a negative $3,732.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, you
Last year, our tax rate was 0.6505 per $100 of property value. We're going to be proposing this year to the council is a no new revenue rate of 0.5764 per 100. As Christie indicated, that will decrease yet last year's tax levy by $3,732. As we worked out in the first budget workshop, the reason for that is some staff have left and we're able to eliminate some things and work that budget down. I want to point out that if the council accepts and proposes a no new revenue rate, it does not require us to have a public hearing, but we are going to have one anyway, so everybody has the opportunity to speak. So that's just another effort for transparency there. But a no new revenue rate does not require a public hearing. We're doing it just as a measure.
I have a question. How much revenue would we have available for the city if our property tax rate is set at 0?
The only other source of income by as in type A general law city outside of taxing is sales tax. Everything else, well, water and sewer sales are completely different. Outside of sales tax, that's the only way a type A general law city can fund. So everything else is reimbursed costs.
So we're looking at a budget that would be about a little less than half of what has been proposed.
The sales tax, I think we proposed at the last budget workshop was just under $1 billion. So that's pretty much what you will.
For the record, I do oppose property taxes on principle, so I will not be voting for any property tax rates. I'm a big love thy neighbor, not levy thy neighbor person.
We have a motion. I make a motion that we act on the no new revenue tax of 0.5764 per one.
Amy,
No.
Vicky,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
4 to 1. So motion passes.
10, deliberating act on setting the public hearing date of September 11, 2025, the 2025-2026 fiscal budget and 2025-2026 tax rate.
Mayor Nancy.
Yes, you know.
So obviously September 11th is a really bad day to schedule meetings, but in order for us to meet our budget calendar and our calendar of events when it comes to the tax and the public hearings, the adoption of the budget, things like that, it just fell on September 11th. So we're going to ask the council to have that date for the public hearing for both the tax rate, the budget, and because the law says that after the public hearing is made, on the budget, you will have to take action on that budget that day. So there's a high probability you'll be adopting that budget. You can make changes after the public hearing, but once it's adopted, it's adopted.
I will move that we approve setting the public hearing date of September 11th, 2025 for the 2025-2026 fiscal budget and 2025-2026 tax rate. So,
Amy,
yes.
Vicky,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 11, discuss and possible action regarding environmental studies, lending options, and review of the franchise agreement with Texas Mexico regarding the Whitney substation on Trinity Street. Ms. Steele?
I brought this back, and Mr. Castor had a lot of issues, and I figured it'd be good to put them up here. Cheryl had made some really good ideas or mentioned getting some screening at the municipal level. It'd be good to take a look into what that kind of stuff would cost. And Mr. Castor asked if the city wanted to exercise the police powers for environmental studies. And by way of a matter of fact, do we have any environmental studies from Texas and Mexico Power?
Nothing has been given to us outside of the conversation I had with Mr. Bryan. He said that even though that the capacity has increased by 50, the output's the same. As far as proximity of the wires, it's actually higher with the new poles. I think an appropriate course of action here might be to get counselor's opinion on what police power is laid out in that agreement, because we passed that after the last meeting to legal to get that. So maybe if she can express how that kind of lays out, it might clear up a lot of things.
So I do want to point out that the franchise agreement is an agreement for ordinance, which is an agreement for the use of public right of way. And an agreement to pay the city for use of public right of way. So I understand the substation or property owned by the utility. The police power that's referred to in the franchise agreement refers to a police power that you can only exercise through ordinances that the city enacts. My understanding from operations manager is that there are particular ordinances dealing with screening or the environmental study. Even in situations where cities have ordinances, ultimately the reasonableness of our ordinances will be judged by the Public Utility Commission. So I'll give you an example. There was a case several years ago where the city of Allen tried to require electric utilities to underground all their wires. The city was sued at the Public Utility Commission. The Public Utility Commission, ultimately the court said you have no power to require that. So a court or the PUC will always weigh, even if we had ordinances regulating the substation, some cities do, like with regards to screening stuff, they will, or a lot of cities will have an SUP process for the substation. So even in that situation, a court and or the PUC will decide whether or not they will weigh the city's interest in regulating with the public's interest in getting electrical. And so it will be a weight. And so, and very often cities are losing it in those decisions. I think it's great to get it all out and be public and open. Thank you.
I think, so you said that we receive pay for right of way. What do we do?
It's in the document.
It's in your, the stuff Mr. Kessler gave you, the franchise agreement's actually in there. It's laid out. It's cents per kilowatt hour or something along those lines.
Is there, I do know that whole street based on me going over it and everything. It is on our list of streets that need to be repaired. Do you think that not questionable, I think it's the whole street.
Yes,
Yes.
I agree. I actually visited with, David, I'm sorry, last, Ashton, on the side, you know, but I saw any construction site, guys, still change stuff for as heavy machinery going down and everything. I do think they, my personal opinion, before the project is done, it just has changed because of the heavy machinery pushing down on them. Matter of fact, that morning that I met with him, I saw a culvert that was crushed. He had to make sure that that's replaced. He made sure that they come in and dig in ditches out in front of their power station, substation, where the water will drain. I'm kind of lean the same way on the street deal. I think out to Jefferson, their heavy machinery came down, did not help the already came. And yeah, it's not help before they started, but my opinion it did not have heavy trucks like that traveling as much as it did. It took about more time before we had to the city to, you know, replace it. Them two things really jumped out the street, and also the drainage going down through the ditch area. They do need to try to make that right.
No, you can prepare for
No,
drinks and stuff, I feel like it's completely.
no, it's not. And even the ditch is, guys, because they're pulling the trucks up into the ditch, it's just pushing everything there. It really don't really have a ditch there in front of the power plant, the substation now. So it needs to be rewatered at the end of the project. Yes, they do. Yeah.
I also went down there, I believe it was after hours as well. And 3 or 4 trucks barreled down even when I was there, and I'm pretty sure it was after 5 o'clock.
I was on Sunday and they were, when I met with them, they had a farm across the ditch and everything. But actually, it wasn't that Sunday. It was the next Sunday I drove back by there to see what was going on. They had 2 big heavy trucks going across the ditch where even if we got rain that day, the trucks would have diverted water itself. So it all needs to be reworked within the project.
Very fast.
I don't know what we need to do.
I think what I would like for, if it would be okay to stipulate what you would like to ask to be for Texas to Mexico, so it's on the record. And that way I can formally draft the email with the council's request of what's being asked, you know.
You would basically need a motion to direct staff to enter negotiations with TNNP on full repair of Trinity Street on that little section that's in the
Oh.
and screening,
And then,
screening, draining ditch. Yeah, in the street.
Sorry, I have to let that thing catch up. Can we get a little bit more specific with the screening, so I know what to ask, okay? Because we want to be very clear about what we're asking.
Yeah, I would love to see what something like that would even cost.
And we're asking TNP to provide that, correct? Not on the city's dime.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to make sure that's clear before.
Not for the 4 people who was talking about, we're talking these.
20 feet per street.
That's going to be very expensive project. Yes. Hey, this is where you got to tell me. I'm going to write the email. I just need to know what to put in.
I would say at least 6 feet or higher, say at least 6 to 8 feet, so that you don't see it. 6.5.
3 feet obviously is not going to be effective. And I've seen other communities where they do have some kind of a thick, I don't even know what to call it. But it's
It looks like it's a 6-foot fence.
very, very thick and it's an insulation that not only covers the appearance, but also reduces noise.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I was just thinking, but I got. So we were talking about what's more like the natural gas type screening that we saw around, in the Johnson County area. Is that kind of what's more in your mind? Metal, the metal, right? Good job. What metal, the sheet metal?
6 foot minimum.
Okay, so the action items here to request the TNP is for the road to be repaired from Polk Street to Jefferson. The tin horns that are crushed and all culverts that are crushed to be replaced, the ditches to be dug out. And screening of the 8-foot fence, at least, if higher, the better. And is there anything else on this? Council would just, state that in a motion, and that way I can get it formally going.
So moved as you stated.
Second.
Katie?
Yes.
Vicky?
Yes.
Valerie?
Yes.
Cheryl?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
That's your motion passes. 12, discussion and possible act regarding activating a first board of amending city ordinance 2023-0303 to make the meetings begin September. Bill?
Well, this is the kind of thing that we've obviously had a lot of interest in the parks. We've got active fundraising happening. We've got events happening at that Memorial Park, and we've got the youth league working at the main city park. And as part of the Lions Club, we talked with a lot of people around the little pocket park, Old Tennis Court area. And one of the things that kept coming up was citizens trying to do their own thing and basically stepping on each other's toes and competing with each other. Someone's coming along and cleaning up what somebody else is trying to fix. So I know you said you tried community meetings, but it's been my experience, having sat on a parks board before, that you really need to have regularly occurring publicly noticed meetings so people have a chance to plan to see them. We don't have to ask everybody every time. We can have an active board that is trying to help people collaborate on what they want to see done. We can have minutes. There's a sense of transparency, openness, and regular collaboration. And it's an advisory board, so it's not like they have to have specific forums to be able to just discuss that. And since we had to take no action on the library, or I'm sorry, not the library, the park grant, I would like to see us restart this park board and get it going. And I know on the ordinance, it says that happened in, where was it? In like January? Yeah. What's before? Right. And shall be made in January. I'd say let's bump that up and let's jumpstart this. And I know we've got a lot of people that are interested in art and paying attention and adding to the discussion and helping fundraise for things. Because arts is one of the areas that we can accept donations for. So we've got a gap to fill financially to be able to apply for that grant next year. And a good unified parks board would be a great way to springboard.
Based on what you're asking here is, you would like to have each council member appoint a citizen plus on, what is your?
Ideally, do we have an application for volunteers? We can put it on the website and on the Facebook page.
We actually did create, when we were asking for all these boards to be built 2 years or so ago. We do have an application to City Hall that we can get out there again, that can be picked up at City Hall or emailed or however, we just need to know, contact City Hall, or we can try to get that on the website. Can't do that one.
I agree.
My personal opinion on that also, in the past, we did have Parks Board, and it did work a long time ago, and it was great. But one thing might keep in mind, I'm going to shoot some organizations out there, like youth organization, the president of the youth organization that's been based at ballpark, he's usually on there, or, start off with people that are actually using it. So if I was going to do it, where I would target first, see if you get a group, like one person out of, WWFL now, right, that's correct. Somebody in the WWFL board or part of the WWFL, be a part of that part of sports, along with, Operations Greater Love, since they helped build that part. The Garden Club is another group that has helped with all of our parks. And if I missed anything else, Lions Club sounds great to me too also, but I mean, them three there are the ones that have a lot to do with the park using it or got it going. So I would definitely keep in mind trying to keep somebody like that that's on that board. I'd like to start with a very fun together.
And, I'd like to tentatively propose that an advisory board consists of a representative from the Youth League, the Memorial Park, one of these Lions Club, city, and a city resident, especially.
Yeah, city residents.
And we really need city residents, which is possible.
You gotta have the city residents involved also. But that's most definitely have spots for the people that actually brought it or maintain it.
I'm game, more the merrier.
If I may, I want to read this section here. It may answer or kind of address that. Park Advisory Board shall be composed of 5 voting members appointed by the City Council. Members shall be qualified voters of the city. That's in the ordinance. 1 member shall be appointed to represent the city's youth association, and 1 member shall be appointed to represent the city's Wildcat Football League. I understand now it's those 2 are the same. So we'll need to change the language in that. The mayor or designee shall be the ex officio member of the board. City council may appoint a city staff liaison to the board. So it does already allocate at least 1 position. And if we're going to change the board and these things, we want other things, we should do that all at the same time.
So would this be easier to, if everybody's basically on board to pursue this, bring this back at the September 11th meeting with a resolution to approve changes?
Either the September 11th or the normal, I would say the regular.
So, Councilor Teal, it depends on, you'll need to actually amend the ordinance, so it would be by resolution. And so once I get clear direction about what the amendments can be, we can easily draft that. And so far, I'm definitely hearing, well, I've heard changing maybe that section about who will be members of the board. Is that 1 group is now 1 group, the 2 groups are now 1 group. And if there's other changes, we just need to have that written before, so to get on the ordinance before we actually have posted the meeting. So what you may want to do, I mean, this is up to you, but what you may want to do either tonight, give general direction about the changes to the ordinance, or on September 11th, so that I can draft those changes.
Council, just a kind of not a word of caution, but just in my experience, when it comes to filling positions on the board, when you specify a member of the Lions Club and then nobody wants to do it, maybe we need some language in there that gives us an out. Necessarily, if you put it in a certain phrase and then they don't want to do it, then we're stuck.
So yes, we appreciate guidance from council on how best to accomplish a resolution that is flexible enough for council. And it may be with something like council reserves the right to appoint members from such and such or something, but you know how to do that. So and I'm looking at the 1.09.042 So I'm just gonna use the existing, I don't think no one change it, but the existing 5 voting members and only 2 are designated, which gives the council maximum flexibility to pick 3 other members from registered voters of the city. So in that situation, y'all could choose somebody, y'all could choose somebody that gives you the flexibility so that if there's not anybody in the line for this to it, you can go to another organization. And so, you want to always balance that, Billy's right, you might want to always balance being overly specific about what organization they come from, because you always as a group can decide, hey, we want somebody who wants, but let's go find somebody. So I just need direction on how y'all want to do that. And by way of it being an open meeting, people can still come and talk and participate. And as an advisory board, it's not so much set in stone as to when people can discuss and then jump in on a discussion as far as public comment goes. Normally, it depends on what y'all's policies are for your boards and commissions. Many cities still run advisory boards like council meetings, so that there's set times for people to talk, so that it's an orderly meeting. And obviously there are post meetings, which means you don't talk about what's posting. Do we need a motion or just staff up guidance? No, and what I can do, if y'all want, I don't know, Bill, the budget meeting on September 11th, you may not want this on.
I think the regular meeting would be more advantageous. It'll also give us the opportunity. It'll also give us the opportunity to make sure we get everything in there and get it to you in draft form maybe before it comes for adoption.
Yeah.
So if you have input, we can change it instead of having to bring it to the table. Then wait another. So I think that's the best course of action.
And that will give the public that's paying attention time to let us know what you guys think too on this.
Item 13. Discussion and possible action regarding calls referred by the city of Whitney in conjunction with Pioneer Day.
This has come up a lot on mine, so I know, drag it out into the open and throw it on the table and let the city talk about that. This is my first Pioneer Day, so I'd love some history.
So I asked the department heads to give me an estimate on the city's costs, most of which for the event surrounds our police department, and it's just a parade. And then to be clear, the parade is a joint effort between the city and the chamber. It's not just because of Pioneer Day, it's a parade, but that's not the parades are always something that the city helps with because we're the one that put the TxDOT permit in and all the regulations. Most of the police departments, the high range, it was $529 to $1,140. That's just based off how much overtime it would take. If the parade briefing changed or was earlier, EMS is $240. That's only because they're going to have two personnel working the booth in town for a while. And Public Works, the estimation was $500. And that is for cleaning up, putting up the barricades, somebody being around and on call for any electrical issues or any issues that pop up downtown. And then the electricity, which I think is everybody's point of concern really is that the city has electrical outlets downtown. I had Christy pull all the bills for the electricity last year. The bill for all the outlets and such that are on the downtown area from September 23rd to October 22nd, the total was $80.76. So this year we just estimated it at $100.
No, it's just something that we can ask the chamber to pay for to cover these costs.
That's up to the council.
I think it's only right since chamber gets all
revenue. This is a chamber fundraiser, and it is one of the bigger fundraisers. I would like to move that we ask the city or require the chamber to cover these costs.
Amy,
Yes.
Vicky, Valerie,
Yes.
Cheryl, Jason. Yeah, 3 yeses, 2 abstains.
14, deliberate and act upon information provided by fire chief Wayland Frost on the Ford Street service grant for the purchase of excavation tools in the amount of $37,527.
So, bringing this to you, we get the grant for rescue tools for 25,000. Tools that we have now is hydraulics, and they're basically, these tools that we're looking at is what we call next gen. So 2020, the transportation department required cars to keep up their frames and stuff, and injections and stuff like that. So with them doing that, our tools we have now will not touch. Like the top of the car off, or hard top doors. But they got this new alloy called bronze steel. So these next generation tools will cut those cars. Fatality rate we had out of 933 2 months ago, that was part of what was hindering both us and Whiteblood, because our tools wasn't able to cut that car and get the lady out. It was 30 minutes per hour. That kind of dealt with the deterioration call. So we got the grant for 25. As you see, I've put your price list of the tools. We've got the spreaders, and these are batteries, so they're not hydraulic. That's the other thing with Whiteblood's hydraulics tools, they busted a hose line with thread, so the air tubes become useful. So luckily, ours were set up like use to chip away the car and get her out. These are battery operated, so that kind of releases the bust the hose and stuff like that. So the spreaders are what they call the jaws block, off the doors and stuff like that. The cutters are just that, the metal shears that will cut the posts, we take the roof off, bring people out. The rams, normally there's 2 sets of rams. So this is what we'll like lift the dash up of the victims and stuff like that, and push the doors apart and etc. With the extended reach strips, we don't have to have the 2 sets of rams, we just have the one. So that's the price that you see that, plus we got a discount of $3,500. Total price came out to $37,527 with the grant. 25 and left the remaining $12,527. What the fire department has asked that they're going to pay half of it with the fundraising that we're going to have next month with the smoking and some raffle tickets in the brisket. We're asking the city, first we're asking the city to, because you have to pay it first and then get the reimbursement. We're asking the city to pay the $37,527 in front. Then you all get the 2,500 back, and then the fire department will pay you $6,263.50. Remaining, we're asking y'all to cover the remaining 62.63.
I have a question for our attorney. Am I remembering correctly that emergency services is one area that we can accept donations on? Yes, services. Awesome.
Counselor, is there any concern with the agreement that we have currently between the city and the fire department when it comes to ownership of pools, or how the city reimburses the cost or expenditures of the pools?
We would need an agreement with the the volunteer fire department service regarding the purchase of equipment. So we would need to have an agreement with them so that it clearly lays out the money situation and who's going to end up owning it. Because it's not covered by the fund. Do we have to wait for that agreement before we can take any action tonight? Or do we move to direct staff to create? Yeah, yes, and I don't know the timing on the purchase, but obviously if the city were going forward, $37,000, you want it memorialized in the agreement. But whether or not the council chooses to do that, and that order is up to y'all. How's your timing look?
I think that, we have to have it was purchased rather than. Resale or something.
So I will move that the city review that agreement, draft that, and we'll revisit that at the 18th. That's right.
A second.
Yes?
Yes.
Carol,
Yes.
Sheriff? Yes. Tyson,
Yes.
5-0, motion passes.
Line 15, discussion on road assessment result.
Thank you, Mayor. We have Riley with Westwood on a video call, or we're going to do the audio, I guess, but he's available for questions on this. Again, we told you that we were going to put the roadway assessment in front of you so you can kind of see how it is. Riley, can you hear me? It's Billy.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, council, if I could, I'm going to turn it over to Riley real quick so he can kind of tell you how this assessment was done, kind of his breakdown in project areas, and kind of give you a good explanation of what this looks like. Riley, you have the floor.
Mayor and Council, thank you for having me. Thanks for the introductory, Billy. I have a question. Am I actually able to share my screen? Will you hear me?
Unfortunately, we didn't set that up, Riley.
Okay, that's completely fine. That way I just know how I'm either getting discussed and saying things or I'm actually going to step. So, that's completely fine. So, Mayor and Council, thanks for having me this evening to be able to chat with you all. As Billy mentioned, we entered into a contract with y'all a couple months ago to come and do a roadway assessment. Pretty common practice for cities to be able to just get a baseline understanding of where your streets are at. Obviously, everyone, has different opinions on what needs to be replaced and repaired and what the priority of these roads are. I feel you wanted me to come out and my company came. We spent a day in Whitney, drove up and down every road that y'all have within the city limits. My notes are telling me y'all have approximately 17.5 miles of road. So times that by 2, and you're at about 35 lane miles, which is a good amount of pavement within the city. And so I noticed there's a lot of concerns. I'm sure y'all are aware of this, but yeah, one of the main observations that I was able to notice is just that it really looks like the lack of maintenance and attention to these asphalt roads, along with the age of the pavement as well. One thing with asphalt is that it doesn't have as long of a life as concrete does. Another thing with asphalt is that water can damage it quite easily. Keeping water out off of the is very important whenever you have asphalt roads, because asphalt, the bonding material between asphalt pavement can get washed away with water, and with freezing temperatures, the shrinking and swelling, it just doesn't. It's not as strong as a bond as you would get with a concrete pavement, but obviously we know concrete is usually out of the price range for most smaller cities and municipalities. But for the most part, it looks like getting some regrading of ditches would be quite important. I know that Billy has brought forth to y'all over the last couple of months the flood mitigation assessment that has been presented. Some of these streets could use some pretty hefty drainage improvement to make sure that you're really setting up the pavement to be successful. If you can't take care of your stormwater, you're going to pretty much go into the same cycle of having poor pavement due to poor storm conditions. But overall, the city, the city has a whole bunch of streets. There's a lot of them that if you focus on the map that I presented and this roadway assessment, you can kind of attribute a lot of the major, the bad roads to locations where a lot of flooding and the ability to do occur, and they kind of go through things together. But anyways, it's really interesting to me that it's been a topic throughout the city that the road needs to be addressed, and it's hard to go out there and start tackling roads without kind of understanding what your overall system looks like. The main purpose of this assessment was to give you a baseline to look at where roads need to be tackled first. We're not going to be able to tackle all 35 miles of these roads, in 1 year or 2 years or maybe even a 5-year time frame. But at least with this assessment, it'll be able to give Billy and the rest of the city staff the correct, a good measure to get a starting ground and move forward with trying to come up with solutions. And with that, I could be here for any questions you have. I apologize for not being here in person. I'm up in Fort Worth based here, so I just wanted to call and be able to chat with y'all to give y'all an update on the roadway assessment that I did. And I've had meetings with both Chris and Billy on this to discuss some of the items that were presented in the assessment. With that, I'll hand it back over to you, Billy, for let council ask questions.
Any questions for Riley, council? Riley, it looks like there's no questions. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and thank you for the quick turnaround on this.
Of course, I appreciate the work with the city, and I hope that I can work with y'all more often and get to see y'all in person next time. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Council, one of the things in the meetings that I had with Riley that he mentioned is there are a lot of pots of money out there for water, wastewater, things like that. There's just not a huge pot of money out there for the municipality to try to dip their hand in for roadways. It's a hard conversation to have, but one of the ways we got to figure out is you saw that bottom number that I told you before is it's really, really expensive. So the council's going to have to make some hard decisions coming up on how they want to proceed with bringing these roads.
And this kind of brings me back to, have we had any success in finding someone to submit an attorney general's opinion, a request for an attorney general's opinion on general law cities being able to accept donations for infrastructure stuff? We believe we may have somebody who's interested in, so I'm working on that. Thank you. And by way of clarity, I know on this list, they have set out recommended projects, phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. So it's not just a matter of going through the list and doing it in exact numerical order. And I would be interested in hearing from council and folks that have been here longer than I have, if these streets on phase 1, if the order needs to be changed up any. If we've got San Marcos Street as the first one, and I know Trinity Street, we're looking at TNMP covering that cost. And then Bush Drive is down there at number 6. That has been brought up a lot. But I'd be interested in hearing people's opinions on whether this list needs to be rearranged a little bit.
Councilmember Teal, so one of the meetings that I did have, in the same conversation with Riley is we did do some adjustment. Bush Drive is actually in phase 2. I had it moved up to phase 1 because it is, one of the higher priority roads. So it's, when you see the layout and how it is, kind of put there,
You already had input.
it's kind of there.
Okay.
Again, if we, you need to take the engineering recommendation, right? And it's just a roadmap, right? It's a literal roadmap. And to success here, if we just start piecemealing it back together, we kind of undermine the purpose of the study.
Well, as far as what previously said on what she said was, if we did get TMD to pay for that part of training, that definitely affect that. So
Yes. Yes, because it's still number 2 on the project. Phase 1 is number 2. So that would take that off priority list. We could look and see if something could replace it in phase 2 or just move on down the list that they like.
And I guess in lieu of being able to accept donations, could you reiterate for the public how paying for specific roads as a general law city works?
There's several provisions. There's one that's in the transportation code that says abutting property owners of the road would pay for 2/3 of the cost of the road repair. The city would pay for the other third, and they would be able to pay that back to the city over a 5-year period. The other than that, you can do a public improvement district by phase. That's almost a tax. So outside of that, those are pretty much dropping the counter.
How many people trying to get to a property? Right, you're asking about, I mean, how do you pay for them now? Property taxes and even use sales tax. And what Billy's mentioning, additional tools in the city. You ready? Anything else? 116, deliberating act on a quote from Mark abatement for asbestos abatement disposal for 117 Washington Avenue in the amount of $3,639 or abatement demolition disposal in the amount of $75,700.
Okay, so the council approved $7,700 estimate from NSC Environmental in June. When we had the gentleman come down, the way he explained everything, when if you read the scope and everything on that quote, it looked like that was the cost for the abatement, which we thought was really, really low.
Right.
And we just qualified, there's no way. Yeah, there is no way. That in fact is just to monitor the air quality while the abatement process is happening. When we called and tried to get them to come do the abatement, they said, well, have you selected your abatement team yet? But, thought that was you. So, the same person who does the abatement can't monitor the air, apparently, as part of the state, whatever. So we got another bid. Obviously, $7,700 was way low to abate the buildings and dispose is $20,639 on top of the $7,700 to monitor the air while the abatement process is happening. The conversation had come up in the past, so while this company was here, they also do demolition of buildings, and we asked them to give us a quote on what it would take to demo the buildings, at the same time they were doing the asbestos mitigation abatement. The total for the asbestos abatement and demolition of buildings is $75,729. And I would like to go back on the record as saying, I told you guys this would be very expensive and we're going to have to invest money if we wanted to do this. I think it would be a pertinent course of action for the council to decide what the purpose of the use is going to be. If you want to pursue this, this quote here, we just, we're going to have some better direction here. The hatch asbestos is going to have to be abated. Want to do that, then seeing it over.
Question. We can't even give this building away right now, correct? Until the asbestos has been abated?
Well, cities can't give away,
I know.
things they own, but you're correct that, I think what you're trying to get is, practically speaking, right, you, would need to, abate this.
So even if we wanted to just auction this off, we can't until the asbestos is abated.
I do not know the answer to that question, but I would think it would be, prudent to abate the asbestos.
It'd be okay to still with the fires were made aware of the condition.
Probably yes. Yeah, Councilor Children's questions regarding, auctioning it off, but you're talking about more of a sale contract where you, where they buyer beware type situation.
Yeah, since we're just, again, it's the type of general law, there's only two ways that we can dispose of surplus, and that's through public auction or sealed bids. So, that's how we would have to get rid of the property if it's sold, if the council so desired.
It's my opinion that the city should ditch this piece of property as soon as possible. However you guys want to do that is up to you. I'll be abstaining on this.
Well, I'd like to go on record to say that this building has been part of our city forever, and it's has a big history. And I'd hate to see that it just be demolished if we could keep from having that happen. But I also think that is a discussion on whether we should, what we would want to do with the building, should we want to. Because I can see it being a community service for, you know, all kinds of things. When the city has to pay for us to go sit in meetings and stuff like that, we could use that building instead. That's saving us money there. Where or we can have our senior citizens come and play their bunco or their cards or whatever, just as a community thing and be acknowledged. And I would like to see the name Cato on it, to be honest, because they're the ones that made it that way it was. That's just not finished. I'm gonna agree with that. I think that that piece of problem has so much. I mean, it's bad. It's very bad. I'll admit that. But it has so much potential when it's gone. It can be like a pergola for the farmer's market. It can be parks and recreation for birthday parties or weddings or whatever. Or a convention center, community center. I think it just has lots of potential.
And I'll agree, it has potential. It's a cool looking building, especially from the outside. It's just not something that the city should be funding. This is the kind of thing that is really best left to the free market.
So I guess my question is, if we decide to do a building for like a park, like a zero type thing, does that not come under Parks and Recreation where we can accept donations for that?
Absolutely.
So I think we need to start thinking about that way where we can get grants and things for it. And I'm not so sure that a community center does fall under Parks and Recreation either. I think it would. Is that
Madam Mayor,
yes.
would you share with the council, the conversation, you don't have to give names with whom it was, but, possibility about them helping renovate that building? If they wanted to operate on the other side?
Yes. Conversation with the town
that is very interested in helping to remodel it, all of it, both buildings, in exchange for one of those buildings being an office for their business. So that has come about too.
Would that
I don't know.
be an issue, the donation and accepting and in kind thing?
That's just what's put on the table.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably, that would be something we'd need legal someone for sure.
One of the reasons I moved to Whitney was for the history and the older buildings in our downtown area that I would like to preserve. I came from a community that we tore down historic buildings to build football stadiums and other things. And I remember we had this conversation last week, how much of the historic park could we keep? So my vote will be in favor of keeping that building and trying to find further use for it. I realize it's a cost to do so. But once we tear down historic properties, they're gone forever.
Could we schedule a city council tour of the properties so we can kind of see firsthand what condition it's in while we're making decisions about it?
I don't see anything. If we have more than 3, we'll obviously need to post a,
So what Bill is referring to is, as y'all know, if you have a forum of the council there, it has to be an open meeting, you have to let the public attend. And certainly I've seen tours done, not councils, but for other boards, and where the public can come along on the tour. If y'all were to tour it in separate groups.
I would rather not put the public during all the expenses, and that's how we be allowed to the public.
If we're going to be using the public's money to pay for it, that might actually be an argument to let them in and see it. But liability is an issue. So either way, I am very interested in checking out the inside, whether we do that 1 at a time, 2 at a time, or as, meeting.
I would say the best thing to do is just let me know when you want to go over there and we'll go check it out. Kind of see everything and go from there.
But we still need to decide on what we want to do, what our goal is before we make a decision on costs. I would think, correct?
Yes, I absolutely. I think that that's probably one of the biggest points of concern is what are we about to invest taxpayer monies into? What are we going to do, right? And the conversation's been had with the community center. The conversation's been had with the community event center because there's not too terribly many of those. Again, the demolition idea came in that if the building can't be safe, if it's structurally unsound, that it gets demoed to the ground and filled in with a pavilion and park benches or picnic tables, something like that. That's something, again, that we're going to have guidance and direction on because we really couldn't discuss that before. We don't even have a general contractor right now because we don't have we don't have the direction to know what we're telling them to go in and do. Are we going in and asking them to remodel this? Are we asking them to do any of this? But I will tell you this, before any of that can be done, we have to have the asbestos squared away. So we just need to know how you want to go with this.
So maybe table this to the September 18th meeting and for the public to give us some feedback on it. And meanwhile, we can all contact you and go check it out.
I think that's a prudent way to do this. I like to add some to this. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't like to live in building. I mean, it's a nice looking building, but also I look at the history of what went on with different things. I don't know how to do this or how to go about it, but I think that even the city needs to have an input on what we want to do or what not, other than just us up here. And the reason why I say that is because I can think of 2 incidents in the school district that happened with different families. losing them, losing somebody and stuff. And, very upset, it upset the whole community that was involved. Like, one was yanked down, nothing was said. And it was a memory of a young gentleman. And it upset the whole town whenever one person made that call. Same thing with the Cato building, decide to tear it down. People that have been here for years and years that have an input on it, or what we should do with it. I don't know how to go about it, but I think that's something that the community really needs to be big input, what it should be or what it shouldn't be.
Madam Mayor and Councilor, this may be a question. Would it be appropriate to conduct a public hearing and get the public's opinion to do that, or how would you approach that?
To be fair, we're not actually maxing out our public comments at the beginning of the meetings. So a public hearing sounds great. I'm all for that. But either way, people can talk at the beginning of the meeting too.
Well, we're talking about parks and building up our parks and for WWFL and volleyball and baseball and all this. That's for the little kids. What about our teenagers that have that?
That's kind of what we're hoping to, like the pocket park and with our outlets. But I mean, this is our list of properties that are paying taxes in the city limits of Whitney. And these are all the people that are behind on their taxes. And we're looking at suicides in Whitney, attempted suicides, suicide concerns, and the really harsh reality of spending taxpayer money and property taxes, that 16% of suicides are over financial stresses. And as much as I'm not going to vote to demolish this, but at the same time, we have a very limited amount of money to spend as the city. And we've got to take care of the wastewater treatment plant that we've still got coming up and these 36 miles of road.
Councilman Jill really needs to just if I would appreciate citing the source. So you got to
Feel free to fact check me. That's something that I've used in Texas legislative committee hearings, research.
I didn't know we're an expert on suicide.
Doesn't have to be an expert on it to look it up.
Well, I do think that if we did make decide to do it as a park or a community center, then it would be considered under the Parks and Rec. That is something that we can take donations for. So that would alleviate some of the money from the city too. So that's where I agree that we need to come up with some kind of way of figuring out what everybody wants. Not just us, but everybody.
I think that would be a great idea to get everybody else involved there. Understanding.
So, what if we approached it this way? If you're making yourselves available, your elected officials have the public reach out to you directly and voice their opinions. And we don't host another meeting. That's what you're here for, is for them to reach out to you for. And then you share your thoughts at the next meeting when we have it on the agenda. That seems like the most appropriate way to do this.
And a reminder that the main issue has to do with how to pay for this, the asbestos issue, and whether or not we want to preserve history. It doesn't have anything to do with emotional issues.
Yeah, I'm happy to give my, if anybody starts talking about what to do with that. Those two buildings.
I also think we need to reach out to people too, I mean, we should not send whites and them come to us. We need to talk to the people ourselves also.
We can make a, would you ever make a post on the city page about, we would, please come forward, we would like to get, contact us or something in regards to it?
Sure, you would want to make sure you're avoiding any kind of forum of you talking, outside of public meeting. Another option in addition to a public hearing that Billy mentioned is sometimes councils will have town hall meetings. So you have to, when you have a town hall meeting, you have to have the subjects you're talking about. You can only talk about the subjects you have forums. But that's another option as well.
I think the appropriate course of action is to table this until the September 8th meeting, until council can get more feedback from the community.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Amy,
Yes?
Vicky,
Yes.
Valerie,
Yes.
Cheryl, Jason,
Yes.
motion passes.
Executive session, if during the course of the meeting covered by this notice, the city council should determine that a closed or executive meeting, the session of the city council, consultation with the attorney for the city should be held or is required in such closed or executive meeting or session, just in consultation with an attorney as authorized by Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-001, etc., will be held by the city council of the day. Hour and place given in this notice is the city council may conveniently meet in such closed or executive meeting or session or consult with the attorney for the city concerning any and all subjects and for any and all purposes permitted by the act, including but not limited to the following sections and purposes. Texas Government Code 551-071, consultation with the attorney, complaint against operations director. Government Code 551-074, discuss the personnel matters or to hear complaints against personnel, complaint against operations director. And go into executive session at 7:41.
That's like that here. That must be. I guess they're going on.
Yeah. It's me. Wow. I did watch. It was fun, but it's like that. Yes, 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 yes. I must have guessed.
They're crazy.
No, but you're going to be.
I kept that on the side, but I hadn't had time to read it all again. I don't know why. I kept it on the side, because I don't want to read all that anyway first. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you can't go that way.
We're going.
Yeah.
You found it.
Your parents come in here. Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah. Time. So I know you're thinking of casinos, but
Not that, it's not going to.
I just that's why it's been.
No, that's what the attorney was saying. Yes. That would be the place to stop. We don't have rules unless we can think, we don't have rules in place as working. So she's, but that's basically saying.
It's their office.
I didn't go all the way. She-
I already had a monthly card, but that's get the 10% back.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna go back as a council or what the council has. See where it goes.
Well, you did it.
But, you know,
We're watching it, we're providing.
oh, yeah. Just one that I know of.
Well, getting it come on. We'll see. Thank God, somebody can inspire.
Right. Well, that. That was supposed to be a replacement.
I don't think.
I wouldn't say that what they've done to it is exacerbated their thought. Sure.
Reach out.
Right. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I will holler at you. Yeah. Yeah. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.
You never did. I'm sorry. On the clock last night, I realized that the law enforcement is coming from people. Yeah. It's just a small thing. It's like it's I really know. So the week only had the lower level system. So everybody needed the right place. So those no place to go. And why separate them is kind of something happened from off the hill. Then one dispatcher's on us, the dispatcher because the else, so they're all. Which I'm so. Which is passing that of the. Not 30 minutes. So, we don't. So it's from back at the building. That's what you have to do. The product is really. So. You would think. You would think.
What we're doing, I tell you, every time something happens. That's the burden of it.
That's one of the huge problems that they have with this spoilers. There's nobody. So it's, we were looking at this, but our best friend was asking, it was the only thing, and it was like, totally, so.
Well, so you know, we're gonna have to do it, so, you know, the rise of this, so, there's no system, things, stuff, so.
That's cool. Well, I think we have to style it like that. The future style, numbers that one. Mobile are doing that. I'm not saying. Well, no, there, so the UT satellite is still for voice and freezing spots. But the problem with that is, that's that you can get in from.
Which one is it?
The T satellite. So now you've got to, so you've got to have internet service. Do for which is great. So that internet, that's not the problem up there. They know that's pretty good. Yeah, the best like gets 100 megabytes. Well, it sounds like they're solid. Well, they're not free. Oh yeah. But they were slower and more consistent. Like almost don't megabytes. I have 100 megabytes search, right? I came from a gig up, gig down. Yeah, it's like 35 minutes. So should be able to. No, they when I looked on there, it said up to 100 megabytes. Where we are is like full. You wouldn't think it. I don't know. That's what I look at now. So Wednesday. Satellite, part of the day, you know, and another part. I was like, you know what? So when we switched over to AT&T, I got a $25 a month bill credit on the internet. So I'm like, man, well, there was some lots now. Oh, were they on PSL? Yeah. They had to bring 2 lines because each line would only carry 50. So step back to the 9th series. It was actually really nice being disconnected for a week. I didn't have this thing, you didn't have to worry about the phone. So that's one. Well, you would never work so so myself now, if I shame the 30 gigs right now, I'm like, that 40 years ago, when we first moved into this house out at Whitewell, those we live with that for almost like that way little so you could hit the screen. They're playing, they're running by within 22. Already, make that part built one. You were still good. Okay, did it do it again on good? What is it?
We don't have the executive station, the people.
No action. You need one of us to take that? Yeah, so we come out of the executive session with no action. Then I'll second our motion that we adjourn.
You said that was president? Yeah. Correct? Yeah.
Community note?
With mine, yeah. Yeah, you got mine? You got mine? Want mine? Yep. 337.
Yep.
0137. That's the text. Make it out.
Yep. Yeah, I've got three.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Thank you. I just.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just do, it's in the file somewhere. Hey, listen.
Okay. 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 Good night, everybody. Bye. Good night. Thank you. Oh, you'll have to try to work it together. Good one. I think you know.
Hey, guys. That's it for tonight. I will review all these messages later.